On the other hand, we also free up your teams for doing stuff which is a little bit more value adding, right? The changes you have to do, these is my American friends always call it monkey work, right? No one has fun in it, and if you get your teams doing that for a project, they might leave,
years,
right?
yeah.
Because it's so boring. So we are taking that out, and your teams can really focus on innovation, implementing new stuff, new Fiori applications and so on. So that is smartShift in a nutshell. And so Hanlie, BMW, right?
Yes.
I talked now a little about one system and what are the problems in general. At BMW, I think the problem is even a little bigger, right? Your system landscape is super big. Tell us a little about your system landscape, the challenges you have, and how you actually utilize this automation and why you do that.
Sure. We've got over 69 SAP applications with over 100 productive systems. It is a very complex system, and this runs worldwide. So obviously, in so many systems, you do have a lot of custom code. And we were looking at changing our custom code in an efficient way, with also as little business impact possible. We didn't want our plant failures or anything like that. So we decided we cannot afford to have our developers sit and change legacy code day by day. And that's why we partnered with smartShift, because of their good track record in the automation that they have in changing custom code. So what we decided is, and actually just got this whole factory of services on what they can do for you with your custom code, all fully automated. We went to smartShift and we said, this is the set of your services that we want to use at BMW. There's much more. Like I say, you can speak to Arndt, they've got a whole factory of services. So we decided to use these type of services from smartShift. And what makes it so nice for BMW is our applications can decide what they want to do with their system. They can use one of the services, they can use a combination of the services. And the only thing they do is, say for instance, the application wants to do a Unicode conversion. They just do a call off to smartShift, and with a flexible lead time, within 2 weeks after that call off, we can start working on that specific service, which makes our life easier. We just do a call off quickly, say for this application, we want you to do a carve out within 2 weeks. Arndt's team comes back and they say, this is what we can do for you. Let's plan it, we know we're going to do it. On top of that, we've also got guaranteed KPIs. So we monitor the service that smartShift delivers for BMW. And then I must also say smartShift always guarantees their service, and we haven't had any issues with any service delivered by smartShift. So that's, just in broad, the services we use from smartShift.
Yeah. The idea was really to build up a factory, right?
Correct.
And we see also on the next Hanlie, we see the first outcomes, right? We worked for BMW since 2010, but in 2018 actually BMW decided to consume our solutions in a more factory-like approach. And since then we have achieved some really big numbers, right? In scope of this transformation, factory is 69 SAP landscapes. So it's even 100 plus productive systems. And BMW can call off our solutions and do projects with us. And they do it in a big scale, Hanlie, so
Yes,
if you talk a
we do.
little about that, right? So,
Yeah, obviously we use a large-scale automation because our systems are so complex and so huge. And I think we had some challenges, and I don't think it's just challenges for BMW, I think it was challenges for smartShift as well, to get involved in such big systems and such complex systems. We also have auditors that monitor every single thing that we do. So it was a challenge for smartShift and for us to make sure with the automation that we do, we still abide by all the audit requirements and the security rules within the BMW group. And obviously, whatever we automate and change, we want to still improve our stability and our resilience. And we want to do it quickly. You know, we don't want to ask smartShift to take 3 months to automate and transform our code. We want it done quickly. And I must say, since 2018, you can look at the results we've had. SmartShift has done over 116 projects for us, over 45 of our landscapes. They have decommissioned over 60,000 objects for us. Because obviously we know there's a lot of legacy code in your system, and you don't want to take that to S/4HANA. So what they did is, they decommissioned almost 10 million lines of code for us through our landscapes, which obviously saved us quite a lot of money when it comes to maintenance, because now all that stuff is decommissioned. Then we also had other issues where we asked SmartShift to help us. Stuff like, performance. We want to change our programs, make it perform better. We had a set of security rules at BMW that are quite strict when it comes to our code. And we said to SmartShift, this is our security rules. We want you to apply those rules to all our legacy code and to everything in an automated way. And to say that they have solved over 950,000 code issues for us. And we saved over 60,000 man days in manual labor. Because we feel our developers should develop new stuff for us. New innovations, new Fiori screens, new stuff. They don't want to sit and change, build an auth check in 6,000 programs. That is just wasting time. And obviously that reduced our IT risk tremendously. And what the nice thing is, like I say, SmartShift's 2 weeks lead time. We can call it off, and in 2 weeks' time, we know Arndt and his team will be there to say, what can we do for you? Let's do it. Thanks.
And luckily we have the automation to do that, otherwise we would be in trouble. But
yeah, luckily
with automation it's working.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the overall picture, right? Huge landscape, 69 landscapes, 116 projects done, and corrected thousands and thousands of issues, right? Especially even the security topic, right? It's just a fraction of what you look at. When you go to S4, most customers even don't look at it because they don't have an option to address the problem. But when you look at custom code, which was built over years, you find all these missing authority checks, right? You find hard-coded usernames, you find directory traversals, all that, but you don't have a chance to fix it. And so we said, let's implement automation. Our first security project in 2015 was for BMW, building this automation with the ultimate goal to really give an option also to you as a customer to address this problem during your transformation. So that's the overall picture, and then there is SAP, Rosalind, right?
Yes. So, I'd like to give you some background on just one of our systems. Now, this is a full manufacturing plant system. We are fully integrated with logistics, sales, purchasing, HR, customs, whatever you can think of, everything we run on this one system. It's based in South Africa, but we interface worldwide. We've got an internal BMW team that supports this whole system, functionally, technically, whatever. So that is just the business background of this system. It was established in 1995. That system is still on ECC6, EHP7, and still on Oracle. We are classified as an extra large system because of the number of custom code. We've got over 50,000 custom development objects in the system. We also run the CCLM usage on the system with a 5-year retention period. And then we've got 22,000 interfaces in and out of the system. Then to cherry on the top, we also run dealer and supplier net on this system. So it is an old system, it's a massive system, but it runs well. But like all systems, it has to be transformed to the new technologies at some stage. And this is what we'd like to share with you today. So, and we all know the challenges when it comes to custom code. Upgrade comes along, there's new functionalities. You need to adjust your custom code to still work with the new functionalities. So these are just the challenges we've had with this one system. And I think we can all relate. You know what the security legacy code that we developed, it wasn't always coded in such a way that it's secure. And that's one of the big projects we did with smartShift. We set down a whole set of rules, we sat with our auditors, and we said, we want all our code to be changed with these kind of things. Went to Arndt and said, this is our set of rules. Can you guys, with your automated process, do this in all our code? We want to make sure our code is secure. Can you do it? And they did. Now, we also know some of the challenges are maintaining your code. I mean, there's developments that they built in 1998, and they just keep adding to that code. You know, so maintaining and supporting legacy and big code is a challenge. But like I always say, a challenge is not always a bad thing. I think it's a good thing, because smartShift learns from us, we learn from them with these challenges, and it makes the partnership just stronger, in my opinion, Arndt.
Absolutely, I just can support that. And for example, if you look at this maintenance part, how to maintain custom processes, right? What we agreed with BMW, we looked at their coding standards. When we set up the collaboration in 2018, BMW gave us their coding standards, right? So what are naming conventions? How should you write good code? And we actually looked how we could codify that into transformation rules. So now each and every of these 116 projects we have done, on top of the must-dos for S4HANA or whatever, we also add these transformation rules for code quality and code standardization, right? So you don't use any more obsolete statements which you were using like 20 years ago. You're using consistent naming conventions for your variables. And that all helps to make your system more maintainable, because now developers, even if they have not coded the code themselves, they come in, they understand the naming conventions, and they see, for example, okay, oh, this is a local variable and not a global variable. I can use it this way or that way, right? So that is the type of things which we added on top to help with these challenges in the systems.
Yes,
right?
That's correct.
So what did we do with SAP till today?
Yes, I think, isn't there one slide back?
I don't have another slide.
With the, okay.
We have
okay, we'll get to that. Okay, so just to show you the path that we followed with this one specific system. We started in 2019 and we said to smartShift, please come and analyze our custom code. We've got thousands. We need you to tell us what you can do for us with our custom code. And Arndt and his team came back and they said, right, this is how much custom code you have. This custom code you don't use. You haven't used it for the last 2 to 3 years. Why do you want to keep it in the system? So we did a repository cleanup first of all unused code that we haven't used 3 years and longer. Take it off the system, decommission it. Then we were left with the code that we really use, and we said to Arndt and his team, right, now we need you to standardize this code for us, and also build in more security to our code. Because we all know hackers don't sleep. They always have a trick up their sleeve, but we also have quite a few tricks up our sleeve. So we decided, and Arndt and his team went, and they did a mass automation for us. And when I say mass, it was a big project that they did for us. Built in all these objects, standardized a lot of the legacy code, and that we finished in 2022. Then we went to smartShift and we said, please analyze all our interfaces. And now when we say it's iDocs, is RFCs, anything that talks to that system, we want you to analyze. They did that, they came back and they said, this is a full analysis of your interfaces. Now you can decide, do you want to streamline them? Do you want to decommission some of them? And we're still busy with our interface analysis from smartShift and sorting that out. Our next step, the S4 had a clean core analysis that smartShift will be doing for us. With that, We want to see of our custom processes that we've developed, what do we need to be replaced with S/4HANA, or what do we need to re-engineer? And then also with that, how can we clean up the core of this massive system?
Exactly. So that's the next step, the next big thing. We have done a couple of systems at BMW already moved to S4, right? So we worked for certain template projects already, also brownfield conversions of certain systems. SAP is a typical system. It's a huge system. It's also on the transformation timeline. They have a couple of years time till they are they have to go to S4, so they use the time wisely to get prepared, to get code out of the system, look at what do I have, what can go back to standard, and what do I really want to keep later on, and that's the stage where we are right on.
Correct.
During these projects, we have a couple of achievements till today, right? For SAP, also a lot of code decommissioning we did.
Yes.
We did a lot of standardization in the system, and as we talked about, we are going to S4 now.
Yes.
Also, it will be a RISE move, right? Which is more from an infrastructure side, it will be on RISE, but still you have to carry on your custom processes and optimize them, right? So with that, I think we are already at the end of the session. Thank you so much, Hanlie, for joining us today here. smartShift is down in the exhibition hall, so it would be great if we can have a follow-up session, discuss certain things. What we offer is a free rapid code analysis to actually see how your system looks like and how we can help you. And with that, again, thanks a lot, Hanlie. And let's open it up for questions. We have a couple of minutes left.
Sure.
And maybe you guys have some questions here.
Sure.
I will do I have to do some sports here.
Sure.
On the chair again. Thanks very much. Great presentation. Just a couple of questions from my side. You mentioned documentation, so sometimes it's a challenge to understand what custom code does even. So does the tool offer a sort of a documentation of code to sort of explain what it did in the system? Because that's just a lot of hours to do that. Or if it does changes to the code, does it help to document the changes that it's made so that an ABAPer going in afterwards can understand? Because sometimes AI is a lot cleverer than, for instance, I would be, and then I don't really know why it made the changes that it did.
So maybe starting with the documentation. The problem with customizations is usually they are not well documented, and especially it's hard to find out which business process they are supporting. If you go into an SAP object, you see application area and whatever, right? So therefore, as part of this S4 clean core analysis, what we are doing is we are really scanning through the code, and we are getting all the information which we can get, right? So we follow data flow, for example, through the system. We see which SAP standard objects are accessed, which tables are read or updated or whatever. And from that, we derive also a lot of information on what is the potential business area a certain object is supporting, right? It is hard then to create a full documentation, but on a technical perspective, we see the business area. We also see what the object is doing. At the moment, we are looking at other generative AI, right? How to redocument code in a natural language way. That is right now also one part of our R&D which we are doing. But I think also nowadays we deliver a lot of insights in code at the end. When we do changes in the code, we document it in the code itself. So the tool writes end-of-line comments which specify what has been done. We also generate outside reports, and we even provide what we call targeted testing inputs, right? Which says, okay, I changed this line of code in include X. This include sits in these objects, and so you should better test these custom processes, right? So there's a couple of things how we support also the testing process. But the good part is, Hanlie, we are not making it's not the sales part here, but we are really not doing a lot of issues, introducing a lot of issues. Procter & Gamble, 1.7 million changes in code, and we had like a handful of tickets, right? Where they said, you can keep the focus completely off, and I think BMW has a similar experience with it.
Definitely, and what I can also maybe mention is when they do the analysis, they supply you with enough documentation, spreadsheets to say, in these objects we'll be applying this rule. And in another document, I'll explain the rule. If this select is what we will change, and it will look like this. And in the programs, they will put the modification with the rule number. So you can actually search in your programs what rule was applied where. So, yeah, and what I can also maybe say, when they decommission objects, they take a backup of every single object before they start changing it. Even if it's decommissioning, automated change, whatever, a backup of every single object is taken and then sent to you to keep somewhere before they do any changes. Yes.
Any more?
So hi, it's Itesh Lala from SAP, and always looking for better things on how to help everybody run better. I know we've got this for a transition scenario. Would you also then use it, or have you seen customers use it, to actually maintain their custom code going forward and keeping everything clean? It's one question. I got a second one.
Yes.
So actually, we always had to decide in which market we want to play, right? So actually, SAP provides great tools when it comes to, if you look at the ABAP Test Cockpit, for example, you can nicely implement that as your code standardization tool. You can even implement it in your change release process, right? That it prevents code to go to production if it is not well coded. So therefore, in this space, we say, we don't want to play, so therefore our real play is in custom code transformation during transformation events. But when we look at clean core, right, which is a total different story, because clean core is changing the IT architecture of your coding pretty much. It's going from sometimes procedural ABAP written in the 1990s, now suddenly you want to have service-oriented code, right? That's not that easy. So therefore, in this space, we are now gradually also adding new functionality to support the developers to really transition to a clean core. Like, how do I replace my APIs with white-listed APIs? What is a new data model? How do I use CDS views? Which CDS views I should create and use and stuff like that. There we get more in a continuous support mode.
And I think you touched on the second question. It was also around the clean core and the future roadmap for an object in terms of what SAP is doing 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line for that specific object. But I believe you already answered that question.
This is actually, when you go to S4, right, in the first place, you still have your customizations like you have written them a couple of years ago, right? You're not on a clean core yet. And our smartShift was always about how we can utilize automation to help our customers to get to a certain end state faster. And it is definitely, if you move to S4, it's not the end. You should really look at how can I implement a clean core system with still utilizing the custom processes I need, but in a way